Cuddlesome! Hello, John. Oh, Cuddlesome, I love you. I love you too, John. Oh, give me a cuddle, John. Oh, Cuddlesome, Cuddlesome. Hey, hang on! Guys! What do you think you're doing? Fornicate afterwards, okay? Oh, sorry. Cuddlesome! No! I love you, John. I love you. Sick. Hello, I'm the Nickstalgia Critic, and I review it because I want to. Last summer I reviewed 3 Big Finish audios, 4 Doctor Who ones, each featuring a Doctor between the 5th and 8th Doctors, and the first Unit audio. And, you know, with the exception of the Unit one, they were all really good. I mean, like, the Unit one was alright. The 8th Doctor one was also okay, but the other 3, they were great. Then in December 2018, as a Christmas present, Big Finish released another free audio, another 5th Doctor story called Cuddlesome. Cuddlesome, like the other 3 audio stories I talked about, was originally released as an exclusive Doctor Who magazine story, this one in 2008, and starred Peter Davison as the 5th Doctor. Well, obviously, he's still around and he's doing these. The story saw the Doctor investigate Cuddlesome's pink vampire hamster stuffed toys who seem to be alive, and a new breed are on the way. And so is an even deadlier breed. So how does Cuddlesome stand today? Well, that's what we're going to find out, so sit back and relax as I review Cuddlesome. And before we start, I'd just like to mention there will be strong language and annoying outside noises, so be prepared for those. So we start off with Angela Wisher, played by Roberta Tovey, watching the news whilst her boyfriend, John Dixon, played by Matthew Noble, plays loud music until a news report about the Cuddlesomes comes on. The reporter, Miranda Everton, played by Kate Brown, interviews the Cuddlesomes creator, Ronald Daddy Turvey, played by Timothy West, about the return of the Cuddlesomes after 25 years. Turvey explains that the Cuddlesomes have voice recognition, though the new ones have been upgraded and have new voices, also voiced by Matthew Noble. Hey, those new Cuddlesome voices sound like the JRPG Doctor from Pope Zygon's productions. Radical! This annoys John as he explains to Angela's what the Cuddlesomes were all about, and goes to find his. However, the Cuddlesomes, also voiced by Kate Brown, start acting strangely and bites him, causing John to fall ill. The Doctor then arrives at Angela's house, who mistakes him for an actual Doctor, and takes him to see John. The Doctor instructs Angela to keep John warm, whilst he slows down the infection, and discovers the poison is extraterrestrial. He then accidentally lets the Cuddlesome escape, whilst trying to examine it. The Cuddlesome then returns home to Turvey and the other Mark I Cuddlesomes, providing information about John. We then hear Mr. Tingus, played by David Troughton. Just before he was Professor Hobbs in Midnight. In terms of a release date, in terms of a recording date, it might actually have been afterwards. Who informs Turvey about a trespasser, who turns out to be Miranda Everton, who confronts Turvey about the Cuddlesomes' report. But the Cuddlesomes overpower her. Meanwhile, the Doctor and Angela send John to hospital, then talk, and Angela has a drink. They decide to go and search for some more old Cuddlesomes, and the Doctor reveals who he is. Side note here, Angela has been drinking, and she and the Doctor both know that she wouldn't be able to drive, and the Doctor would have to. Remember, kids, don't drink and drive. Splink! Miranda then reveals that Turvey has been in prison for tax fraud, as she is taken to Tingus. Tingus reveals himself to be an alien and Turvey's benefactor, and gets with the Mark II Cuddlesomes to infect Miranda. Meanwhile, the Doctor and Angela investigate a shop specialising in 70s and 80s products, where they find a Cuddlesome had escaped and track it. and find one of the shop workers dead, similar to how John was starting to look. They then find a Cuddlesome who heads off, tracked by the Doctor and Angela. We then get the first use of the nickname Turvey doesn't like being called by, more on why later, by Tingus, who orders him to shut down the recall system. When Turvey refuses, he gets the Mark IIs to do it. He again gets the Mark IIs to destroy the Mark Is, much to Turvey's horror and upsetness. The Doctor and Angela catch up with the Cuddlesome and examine it. There's a nice little joke here where the Doctor says he actually had his own bear, an actual bear, and he had to release it into the wild after it bit out chunks of his bedpost. Nice joke. They find out the Cuddlesomes are heading back home whilst Turvey is restrained, as the Cuddlesome Mark Is are destroyed by the Mark IIs. A telepathic connection with his Cuddlesome wakes John from his coma, much to the surprise of the nurse, also voiced by Kate Brown, and the Doctor and Angela enter the factory, detected by Tingus. The Doctor and Angela discover the dead Mark Is and are discovered by the Mark IIs, who attacks them until Turvey saves them. After being confronted by the Doctor, Turvey admits to using the Cuddlesomes to target adults and explains when he was younger he used to have a teddy bear called Mr. Cuddles that he took with him everywhere and loved him. He then explains that he was sent to university and he was bullied by the other students who called him Turtle Turvey, which is the nickname Tingus called Turvey earlier, and which is what I mentioned he didn't like. Now, this next bit in the story, it's not a problem with the story, it's with people. It made me disgusted with humanity. It's disgusted that humanity can do such a thing. And in my mind, it's one of the worst crimes ever committed, alongside the worst crimes ever committed. So, here we go. At the end of the worst term of Turvey's life, some of his peers, if you can even call them that, broke into his room. Another reason why I commute to university and stay at home. No unwanted visitors. Laughing and making fun of him, they then ripped Mr. Cuddles to bits, and laughing as they did, causing Turvey to vow revenge. You maniacs! You tore it up! Fuck you! Fuck you to hell! Ah! Seriously, when I first heard that, I was genuinely shocked and angry. Turvey then decided to destroy adults who forgot their childhood, inspired by the dream of a dark Mr. Cuddles. Turvey then reminds the audience that he committed tax fraud and was sent to prison, hence the long delay between when he originally set out to do this plan and when this story is actually being set. Tingus then reveals himself and has Turvey knocked out by a Mark II. Tingus then reveals to the Doctor and Angela that he is an alien called the Tingus, which means we don't actually know this particular Tingus' real name. He just goes by Tingus, but he's the Tingus. Anybody else ever noticed this with these creatures? The Doctor explains that the Tingus are psychic parasites. The Tingus seeds ideas into people, hence the Mr. Cuddles, the dark Mr. Cuddles dream that Turvey had that inspired him to make the Cuddlesomes. The Tingus then reveals his plan is now to mutate people into Mark III Cuddlesomes and shows off a mutated Miranda. Miranda then chases the Doctor and Angela, but they escape her. After escaping Miranda, Angela reveals that she is a plumber with a hammer, and the Tingus starts to decontaminate the Earth. More Mark IIs arrive, whilst a awoken Turvey upgrades a surviving Mark I Cuddlesome, Johns, who then enters, into a new recall system for the remaining Mark Is. The Doctor and Angela then confront the Tingus. Turvey and the Mark Is then enter, and the Mark Is and Mark IIs have a civil war, or tribal warfare as the Doctor explains it. John also arrives and the Tingus attempts to kill him, but John's Cuddlesome sacrifices himself to save his owner. I feel your pain, John. I feel your pain. However, the Mark Is are winning. There's even a song number by Turvey during the battle. Big Finish, please release this song. However, John attempts to kill the Tingus for destroying his Cuddlesome, but the Doctor tackles him and then decides to put a stop to everything. However, the Tingus manages to disable him. Turvey then attempts to stop the Tingus himself, but Miranda kills him, which also kills the Tingus, due to having a psychic connection between the two, and hence why the Tingus couldn't have Turvey killed earlier, and so just had him knocked out. The Cuddlesomes die, and John and Miranda are taken to hospital. 3 years later, the Doctor returns to visit Angela to return her hammer. Angela then reveals that John and Miranda are now engaged, after meeting in therapy, following the events of the story. After a discussion about the vaccine used to cure them, the Doctor decides to go, but not before Angela asks him for a cuddle. So, Cuddlesome, what do I think of it? Well, I think it's a really great short story and has some amazing performances. Every actor does a great job. The weakest link is probably Roberta Turvey, but I still thought she did a great job as Angela. David Troughton and Timothy West are both superb as the Tingus and Ronald Turvey, respectively. Kate Brown and Matthew Noble both do amazing jobs as both Miranda and John, and as the 2 versions of the Cuddlesomes. Plus also that small Doctor role, Brown also has the voice. And Peter Davison is once again great as the Doctor. The story is also pretty nice, and whilst it's not a terribly short story, it's still short enough. I do think there is a bit of talking and a bit of running around now and again, but and a little bit of meandering, but it still works really well and has lots of great stuff going for it, and the action scenes are also pretty fun to listen to, and there is a little bit of tension thrown in there. So yeah, and those voices. The Cuddlesome Mark 1s are annoyingly cute, whilst the Cuddlesome Mark 2s are annoyingly fun, and then the Mark 3s are scaringly annoying. Well, they're not actually annoying, the Mark 3s, they're just rah! Evil monster coming to get you. But yeah. But there's lots of fun moments, especially when Turvey and Cuddlesome, John's Cuddlesome, come in to thwart the Tingers' plan. Yeah, it's got some great moments. So I really recommend this story. I recommend you check it out. It's free, so there's no excuse. And there's even less excuse for not getting this story than the Chimes of Midnight, because this one is free, whilst Chimes of Midnight is still about $2.99. So overall, Cuddlesome, I think it's a really great, really entertaining, and really fun story. So I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I don't think it's perfect, but it's still a lot of fun and really engaging. The story could have been a little bit shorter, it could have lost some of the talking, maybe less running around, maybe we could have gone some places quicker. But it's still really well, and Turvey's motivation makes a lot of sense. Even if what he's doing is just as bad, if not worse, than what happened to him. In everybody else's opinion, in my opinion, I think it's not as bad. It's still bad, but not as bad as what happened to him. So that's Cuddlesome. It's a really great story. But I still can't get over those fuckers ripping Mr. Cuddles to shreds and facing no consequences. They faced no consequences for those actions. Losing faith in humanity. In fact, where are they? You know what? I'm going to go off and kill them. Let's go and find those cunts. Oh, that feels better. Here we go. Anyway, I'm the Nickstalgia Critic, and I review it because I want to. So why don't I just come back in?